Welcome to D&D Builds, where we have an outlet to make all sorts of ridiculous Dungeons & Dragons characters and stop driving the people in our lives insane with them. Today we're going to be creating your favorite pirate with a straw hat, Monkey D Luffy. One Piece has a hell of a lot of content to get through, so I had to comb through quite a bit to try and figure this one out, but I think I managed to do it justice. Between all of the comments I've gotten requesting this build, as well as when I polled the community to ask what your favorite anime character you want built into D&D, this character popped up pretty regularly, as well as another character, so I put it up for a vote on my Patreon, and my patrons voted for Monkey D Luffy. If you want a bit more say in what I build, as well as access to character sheets and more, feel free to check out my Patreon like these incredible people here. And a very special shout out to Kilo, Devin Happy, and Jason Willowhammer. They're my Dungeon Master level patrons, who's going to be getting a D&D session hosted by me as the DM very soon. But now let's jump into that stretchy armed pirate from One Piece. We're going to make sure we try and cover as many gear transformation techniques as possible from One Piece, and we'll even try and figure out how to cover that crazy hockey as well. But first things first, we gotta pick a race. I was gonna go straight variant human and try and pick up some crazy feat, but when you eat the devil fruit, it does change you quite a bit, so we're gonna play with that. And we're gonna take a race called Bugbear. I know bugbears don't quite look like Luffy, but it does have a very unique feature that I think plays into what changes in Luffy when he eats the devil fruit. They have some ability score increases, which we're going to tweak a little bit anyways, thanks to Tasha's. They get proficiency in the stealth skill, thanks to their sneaky abilities. They get some bonus damage on a surprise attack, dark vision, powerful build, and the feature that we chose this for all together, long-limbed. We need to start playing into the stretchy arms right away, and we're going to do that with this race. Long-limbed makes it so that whenever you're making a melee attack on your turn, your reach is increased by 5 feet. So while most people can only attack somebody within 5 feet of them, unless they're using a reach weapon or something, you can reach out to 10 feet. Then jumping into a background for Luffy, it should be absolutely no surprise, we're just going to grab Pirate. This gives you the skill proficiencies in athletics and perception, so you can handle being on a pirate ship better, and you can actually see out into the open water a little better. You also get tool proficiencies in navigator's tools and water vehicles, which is pretty self-explanatory. Now let's jump into some starting stats. Luffy's pretty lean, so we're going to dump strength, and we're going to take the 2 points that would have gone into strength from Bugbear and allocate them to something else. Then we're going to take dexterity, bump it all the way to 15, and then get another +1 from being a bugbear. You're pretty nimble, you bounce around a lot, and that just fits. Next, we want to make sure you can take a few hits, so we're going to bump our constitution to 14. Then we're going to take intelligence, dump that because that's not really what we're focusing on. Then take our wisdom and bump it to 14, and then use the other +2 that would have gone into strength and reallocate it thanks to Tasha's. This is really going to help our perception because you need that out in the open sea. And then we're going to boost our charisma all the way up to 12 because that's all the points we have left, and Luffy's pretty damn charismatic. Now we got to pick a starting class. Luffy doesn't usually wear much armor, and he's all about his punches and kicks, so it should be absolutely no surprise that we're going to start with Monk. At level 1 of Monk, you get access to simple weapons, short swords, and one type of artisan tools or a musical instrument. You also get proficiency in saving throws and strength and dexterity, and you get to choose 2 skills. You already have athletics, perception, and stealth, so we're going to grab Insight to help you better understand the wants of the other Straw Hats, and we'll grab History because you're pretty good at reciting most of the pirate history that you know. At level 1 of Monk, you get unarmored defense, making it so that your armor class is 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your wisdom modifier, making it a very respectable 16 for now. Also at level 1, you get martial arts, allowing you to use your dexterity instead of your strength for attack and damage rolls using unarmored attacks. The current damage dice for this is 1d4, but that goes up as you level up in Monk. You also get the ability to immediately attack again as a bonus action after you've taken the attack action on your turn. At level 2 of Monk, you get unarmored movement, allowing you to move a little faster so you can either stretch out your legs or bounce your way there. You also get access to Ki, allowing you to channel some energy. So you can use Flurry of Blows to attack much faster, allowing you to make 2 attacks as your bonus action. You can use Patient Defense, allowing you to take the dodge action as a bonus action on your turn, which you can just play off as you being extra bouncy and harder to hit. Or you can spend a point to use Step of the Wind, allowing you to make the disengage or dash action as your bonus action. At level 3 of Monk, you get Deflect Missiles, allowing projectiles to just kind of bounce off of you and possibly bounce back at your enemies. Then also at level 3, you get to choose a Monastic Tradition, also known as a subclass. And we want the stretchiest arms possible, so we're going to grab Astral Self. When you choose the Way of the Astral Self subclass, you get Arms of the Astral Self. As a bonus action, you spend 1 key point to summon your arms, aka making them a little more stretchy, And anyone within 10 feet of you when you activate this must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take force damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die, which we can play up as that introduction of the haki, but don't worry, we'll boost it up a bit later. These arms stay active for 10 minutes, and you have some unique bonuses for this. You can use your wisdom modifier in place of your strength modifier when you're making strength checks and strength saving throws. So now if you want to grapple somebody with your stretchy arms, you can do that using your wisdom modifier, which is super helpful because you did dump strength. You can use these stretchy arms to make your unarmed strikes, and when you do so, the reach of your unarmed strikes are 5 feet longer. Mixed with the fact that you're also a bugbear means that your reach is now 10 feet longer than normal, which may not seem like a ton compared to what you see in the anime, but in D&D, that's a pretty long reach and you can pretty much attack anybody near you in the field of battle. Lastly, when you use these stretchy arms, you can actually use your wisdom modifier instead of your dexterity modifier if you want to. So we're going to be focusing on our wisdom stat going forward a little sooner than any other stat. Speaking of which, at level 4 of Monk, you get access to an ability score improvement. So, like I said, we're going to boost up our wisdom to 18. Also at level 4 of Monk, you get access to the ability Slow Fall. And while Luffy doesn't necessarily fall slower, he does take a bit less damage because he's so damn bouncy. And in reference to the actual ability in D&D, it doesn't actually say that you're reducing the speed of your descent, it just reduces the damage. So you being just extra bouncy and reducing the damage of falling just makes sense. Then I wanted to grab level 5 in Monk as soon as possible before we did anything else because at level 5 you get extra attack. So now you can attack twice as your main action and twice as your bonus action if you use your flurry of blows. Additionally, you get the ability Stunning Strike, allowing you to punch somebody so hard it stuns them. The last thing you get at 5th level of Monk is an increase to your martial arts die from a 1d4 to a 1d6. Now at level 6, we're going to jump out of Monk and do a bit of a multi-class. I really wanted to amplify the use of that haki. We got a little taste of it with that initial Astral Arms transformation, and since it's this massive area effect or aura around you, I was super tempted to try and pull off grabbing some Paladin and using that Paladin's aura, but we don't really have enough strength to pull off that multi-class. So we're going to get a little creative here, and we're going to use our wisdom and jump into Druid. At first level of Druid, you get a secret Druidic language, but that doesn't really play in at all, and you get some spell casting. We get 2 cantrips right off the bat, and we're going to grab Thunderclap to help replicate the haki a little bit more. It does create a thunderous sound that can be heard 100 feet away, but its actual range is only 5 feet in a radius around you, so it's not even as good as what you get from being an Astral Arms monk. But it still plays into the theme, so as a cantrip, it's still fun to use, just in case you're out of key points for the battle. Then the other cantrip I would grab is Magic Stone. This allows you to use some pebbles and turn them into magical ranged weapons. It has a range of 60 feet, and you can pretend that this is either firing a cannon, or if you're just kind of using your stretchy arms as a weird slingshot or something. You can technically learn up to 5 druid spells at this level, between your druid level and your wisdom modifier, but we're only going to focus on some of the spells that I think really matter. You get access to first level druid spells at this level, so we're going to grab Charm Person to help your recruiting for the Straw Hats a little more. Next we'll grab Jump to make you extra bouncy, and to amplify that extra resilience that you get, we'll also grab Absorb Elements because there's no way this won't come in handy. Then we still really want to amplify our haki a little more, so the last spell I would grab a first level is Thunder Wave. This has a tiny bit more range than when you activate your Astral Arms. It does 2d8 thunder damage and pushes everyone within 15 feet of you 10 feet away from you. And it's such a massive boom, it can be heard for up to 300 feet away from you. And this is probably the best we're going to be able to pull off with the haki. Granted, it's not quite as powerful, but we'll figure out a way to amplify it a little more in just a second. Because at level 2 of Druid, you get access to Wild Shape, which really just ties into the Druid Circle we're going to pick, aka the Druid subclass. We constantly see Luffy actually inflating his body. He blows into his thumb and it swells up his whole arm. This is part of his Gear 3 transformation, but I had a little thought. What if he's not just blowing air, but something mixed into it as part of ingesting the devil fruit. Maybe those devil fruit produce spores. So we're going to grab the druid subclass, Circle of Spores. When you choose this subclass at 2nd level, you get the ability Symbiotic Entity. And like I said, if you're blowing spores into your body, this is how you're going to pull it off. You can use your wild shape feature to awaken the spores in you, and rather than transforming into a beast like most druids, you gain 4 temporary hit points for each level you have in this class, as well as boosting up the arm that you blow into. Your melee attacks deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage, so it's really like inflating your arm to deal much more damage. This benefit lasts for 10 minutes, so you can use it at the same time as your astral arms, really boosting things up. Additionally, with this ability you get a boost to another feature you get from this subclass, Halo of Spores. Halo of Spores just makes it so there's essentially a bit of an aura around you within 10 feet, and you can use your reaction to deal 1d4 necrotic damage to any creature that comes within 10 feet of you or starts its turn there. And when you have your Symbiotic Entity active, you do 2d4 instead of just 1. And since we've been doing all of the inflating and extra bounciness, I want to go ahead and lean into that a little more and grab one more level of Druid, because at level 3 of Druid we get access to a 2nd level spell slot. So the spells we're going to grab are Enhance Ability, just because that tends to be kind of helpful for most ability checks. And then for inflating, we're going to grab Enlarge Reduce. Enlarge Reduce will help you inflate your whole body, but it will actually technically also increase your range. If we're measuring from the center of you, instead of reaching 5 feet away like a normal person and reaching 10 feet away like a normal bugbear, or even 15 feet away with a astral arms bugbear, now your entire size gets increased. So it's kind of like getting an extra 5 feet of reach out of that. So while your body is super big with all of the enlarging and inflating and whatever else, this spell will also make it so you have advantage on strength checks and strength saving throws. And since you are an Astral Arms monk, you can use your wisdom for that. But the best part about this, on top of increasing your range even more, is that it does increase your damage with those punches as well. So when you do all of the inflating and enlarging and whatever else, you get an additional 1d4 extra damage. So now your punches get an extra 1d6 from your Symbiotic Entity, an extra 1d4 from being enlarged, and you're already doing a decent amount of damage because you get to do plenty of punching. The last spell I was tempted to grab was Locate Object to help find the One Piece, but it's one hell of a long show, and if we got this spell, maybe it would just be way shorter, and that just doesn't really fit. So instead of taking level 4 in Druid, we're going to jump back over to Monk. This brings us to level 6 of Monk, giving us key empowered strikes, making it so your punches are magical. Just think of that as blowing a little extra air into your arm. You get a little extra bouncy or a little more stretchy legs, boosting your extra unarmed movement from 10 feet to 15 feet, and you get the monk ability Visage of the Astral Self. This gives you some extra ability to see in magical and non-magical darkness, which I guess is helpful for navigating the open seas, but you already have normal dark vision, so it's not super helpful. You get some weird speaking ability, making it so you can secretly talk to somebody, which doesn't really feel like it plays in that much. And then the other ability you get from activating your Visage is Wisdom of the Spirit. This is the only part that might actually play in and be helpful because it gives you advantage on Wisdom Insight checks and Charisma Intimidation checks. Considering you have the spell Enhance ability, if you want to use your Insight, you're going to be pretty good at it. So you're going to understand the wants and needs of the other Straw Hats. At 7th level of Monk, you get access to Evasion, allowing you to dodge a significant amount of damage whenever you have to make a Dexterity saving throw, and you get Stillness of Mind, allowing you to end one effect on yourself, causing you to be charmed or frightened, which does make sense because Luffy is so damn cheerful. So there's got to be some way that that plays in. Then at 8th level of Monk, you get an ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our Wisdom and max it out. So this is going to boost the attack damage from your Astral Arms, as well as your armor class. At 9th level, you get a boost to your unarmored movement. You can now gain the ability to move along vertical surfaces and across liquids, which is going to be super helpful since the Devil Fruit did make it so you can't really swim. So it's definitely helpful to not have to fall in the water at all. At 10th level of Monk, you get a boost to your unarmored movement, boosting it from a bonus 15 feet to 20 feet, and you get the feature Purity of Body, making you immune to disease and poison. Then at 11th level of Monk, your unarmored attacks get boosted from a 1d6 to a 1d8, and you get access to the Astral Self ability, Body of the Astral Self, allowing you to empower your arms even more with a little extra inflation, and you can deal an extra martial arts die of damage once per turn with your empowered arms. And when your Body of the Astral Self is active, you also get Deflect Energy. When you take acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage, you can use your reaction to deflect it, and when you do, the damage you take is reduced by 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier, which is really like leaning into that gear 2, boosting your defensive capabilities. Then at 12th level of Monk, you get access to another ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our dexterity since our wisdom's already maxed out, and since we're relying so much on the stretchy arms, all this really does is boost our armor class. Then at 13th level, you get Tongue of the Sun and Moon, allowing you to understand and speak all spoken languages. I love this feature when it comes to any anime build that I do, just because it gives a reason for why everything has so many dub languages. Then at 14th level, your unarmored movement gets boosted from a bonus 20 feet to a bonus 25 feet, and you get access to Diamond Soul, giving you proficiency in all saving throws, a full-blown anime protagonist advantage. And if you fail a saving throw, you can spend 1 key point to re-roll it. At 15th level of Monk, you get access to Timeless Body, meaning you can't be aged magically or by any unnatural means, and that's going to be pretty helpful because One Piece has been running for a hell of a long time. So if we want to make sure you make it to the end, we don't want anybody aging you prematurely. Then at 16th level of Monk, you get access to another ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our dexterity one more time, getting the absolute max armor class that we can get. So you're just about as bouncy and deflective as you can be until next level. Because while at 17th level, your martial arts die does get increased from a 1d8 to a 1d10, you can also get an additional feature from your Way of the Astral Self. You get Awakened Astral Self. So you can activate all of the astral features, summoning the arms, the body, the visage, all at once, and you get Armor of the Spirit, boosting your armor class by 2. So now your AC is going to be 22, which is pretty damn solid, and it's like activating your Gear 2 or even your second form of Gear 4, going full-blown Tank Man. But if you want to activate the third form of Gear 4, Snake Man, which increases your attack speed quite a bit. The other feature from the Awakened Astral Self is Astral Barrage. So when you use your extra attack to punch twice, you can now instead punch 3 times as long as you're doing the punching with your big stretchy arms. So with 17 levels of Monk and 3 levels of Druid mixed in, I think we've managed to cover most of the core abilities of Luffy. You have a crazy amount of melee range. You can inflate your entire body or random parts of yourself, and with your spores active giving you an additional 1d6, your enlargement active giving you an additional 1d4, plus your normal punches dealing 1d10, plus your wisdom modifier giving you an extra 5 for each punch, allowing you to attack 5 times between your astral arms and your flurry of blows, then dealing an additional 1d10 extra damage once per turn with the empowered arms from the astral arms. You wind up maxing out at dealing 135 damage in a single round without activating anything else, and you can do that at 20 feet away. And you can even pull off the hockey even if it is a slightly toned down version. I'm super happy with how this build turned out, and I was especially happy to see it in the comments being requested. I took a couple of the requested anime comments and threw it over to my Patreon, and they voted on this being the next anime build that I did. If you want more of a say into what I build, feel free to check out my Patreon, linked in the description down below, where you can be just as awesome as these people, or if you want to chat more about it, we also have a Discord available. And a very special shout out to Kilo, Devin Happy, and Jason Willowhammer, who is a Dungeon Master level patron. All of my patrons help me so much, but a Dungeon Master level patron gets a few extra perks, including being part of a D&D session where I'm the DM hosting it. If there's any other builds you'd like to see, or if there's anything differently you do in this build, let me know in the comments down below. I try and read every single comment whenever possible, and I definitely take those recommendations to heart. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by hitting that like button, and I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you want to play a super bouncy, stretchy-armed pirate with insane reach and use this Monkey D Luffy build.